Hello everybody and welcome to Whatever Floats Your Boat. Today out of my living room simply because we have a heat wave in Austria and I can't possibly do it from my bedroom, which I usually do it in, because it's just so hot and I'm just sweating all over. But having said that, I've just come back from Britain and initially my plan was to go to Britain to flee from the heat. Well, that backfired monumentally because Britain, as you might know, is currently trapped within, I think, one of the worst droughts that they've had in probably 10 to 20 years. And it was just non-stop hot weather, non-stop. I couldn't sleep at all. I couldn't do anything. And so that backfired a little. But I'm back in Vienna now for today. And today I wanted to talk about 5 weird things British people do, or things about the British basically. It's not necessarily what they do, but things that I have observed while I was in Britain and that I wanted to share with you. So the first one is their weird obsession. So British people have a weird obsession with crossing the road when the traffic light is red. It's really like pedestrians, not cars, hopefully. But with pedestrians, it really seems to be like really like a set goal. Like you have to do it while it's red, otherwise you failed the task. It's really, you stand there and you just wait for the traffic light, which in Britain, especially in London, arguably are red for a long time. That is true for most traffic lights. And so basically what you do is you stand there and next to you you have flustered British people who are just looking right, left and centre, trying, they jump on the road and then someone comes and they jump back and then they jump on the road again and then they cross, and it's just really a bit like a battle. And I always feel like, oh Lord, if there only was a system that told you when to cross the road. Oh wait, there is. It's called a traffic light. And I mean, I just personally think, obviously if there's no car coming, like for miles and miles, cross the road. But I wouldn't risk my life. I'd rather be like 2-3 minutes late to something than risk my life and just jump on the road. So I think that's a bit weird, actually, because people really seem to be grimly determined to cross the road when the traffic light is red, which I think is quite entertaining actually to watch them. There are 2 reasons why I don't do that, because, well, I don't do it like determinedly. The first one is the minute you walk on the road, someone comes, you have to jump back, and it's quite humiliating. So I don't really do that. And secondly, you're so busy with looking to left and right and whatnot that you actually miss the traffic light jumping to green and you end up being the last person to cross. Both things have happened to me. Both things have happened to people I've observed. So in the end of the day, I just keep my dignity and I just wait my time and I cross it when it jumps to green. This is what I advise you to do as well, because you can just save a little bit of energy and humiliation. Yes, so that is about the traffic lights. Then there's another weird thing. So when I worked in Britain, I was on a campus, and it was a university campus, and it was so weird because they have really weird doors. Like, I don't know, you can't really open a door in this complex, and with many other doors as well in Britain, without 2 hands. It's so weird. It's so overly obsessed with, well, probably security, but is it really security? If you're already inside a building and to get out, you need to go the extra mile. I'm like, getting in probably, but not getting out. And I think it's a bit of a safety hazard. If there's a fire or something, you shouldn't, be able to you should be able to outsmart the door in less than 5 seconds. And it's just really, I don't know, you have additional handles or additional knobs, or you have to push a button for the door to open, or you need to have a special card, and then you have to pull, and then you have to push, and it's just a very bizarre system, I think, that you always have to use like two hands, and it's obviously very annoying because I mean, I just imagine being a student there. You have your hands full of study books and stuff, and then you always have to put them down on the floor to open the stupid door. And I consider this to be really, really annoying. So just do away with it. It's not needed, you know, especially not when you go from the inside to the outside. And yeah, and that actually leads me to another topic, or another thing that I've observed in British people that seems to be quite different from other countries that I've observed, which is the weird obsession with lanyards. It's really insane. I mean, everyone's wearing a lanyard and they pride themselves in it. I remember when I worked for a marketing company, I always had to wear my lanyard with my key card. I always had to tap it in and out, and it's such a British, probably American thing as well. And I don't know, I think it just looks really weird, and I don't want to wear it all of the time. But it's you know, when you work in an office complex, or if you're security, that's probably fine enough, but still, it's like you have to have it for everything. And coming back to the doors, very often you need it because the key card is on the door, is on the lanyard to open the door. So there you go. And I don't know, I just feel it's a weird obsession. And I've worked in Britain now repeatedly, and I've never had to wear a lanyard in Austria before or anywhere. And then you come to Britain and you have to wear them all the time for everything. It's like museum people have them, security people have them, office workers have them, cleaning staff have them. It's just a very different world, like a lanyard obsessed world. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's quite handy sometimes because you have everything around your neck. But it really made me feel a little bit like a cow, you know, like cows that graze and they have these huge bells on. I mean, that's probably an Austrian thing, but basically what happens here is that cows get like a huge bell on. It permanently goes doo-ding, 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 and I think it must be highly annoying, but that's how I felt like whenever I had to wear a lanyard. I was like, I felt like a bit marked. And then you hear that the key cards and everything is just rustling and bustling, and you're like, behold, people, I'm coming. You know, it's like you can hear me from a mile away with my lanyard. So that is a bit awkward, but yeah. Then, what was it? Where am I? This was number 3, I think. So let's go on to number 4, which is something that I've been to Britain, I've lived in Britain, and I've never come across this before, but it probably explains a couple of confusions of the past that I've had. And this is the lunch-dinner controversy. It's very awkward. So for me, and I think for every reasonably thinking human being, there is breakfast, right, in the morning, and then there is lunch, which is somewhere between 12 and 2 o'clock. And then there is dinner, which is an evening. You know, you have a dinner party, or, sorry, so dinner would be for me clearly an evening thing. However, there are people in Britain who call lunch dinner, and for dinner they say tea or supper to make it even more confusing. So they have breakfast, dinner, tea, or breakfast, dinner, supper, which is entirely awkward, because obviously if you met someone and you said, let's meet up for dinner, that could lead to huge time management problems, because one of them might turn up at 12 o'clock and the other one might turn up at 6 o'clock. So that is quite awkward. And apparently, but I'm not sure about this, there is a sort of north-south discrepancy about this. I think people in the north, tend to, a bit of a hiccup today, tend to say breakfast, dinner, tea, rather than people in the South. I don't know. But apparently, this is what I've been told. Dinner is not really necessarily about a time, but about the biggest and warmest meal you have during the day. And because some people have that at lunchtime, that is what they call then dinner, because dinner is basically having a starter, a main, and a dessert. Does that make sense? Rather than having it sort of assigned to a specific time slot. Which I guess makes sense, but it's still highly confusing, and I would never ever call lunch dinner. I mean, I'm already confused with the dinner, supper, tea, because, I mean, for me, tea is like between 4:30 and 5. No, not 4:30, sorry. 4:30 and 6, that's it. That for me would be tea time. And then after that you have dinner or supper. But hey, I guess as long as we're all being fed, it's okay, and I can live with it. And yes. All right, moving on to the last point. So I said, I don't know if I said it in the beginning, but this was supposed to be 5 points. So the last one is a bit of a stereotype and is something everybody knows because it's such a cliche, but I've just come upon it again and again and again, and I thought it was quite entertaining. So British politeness is just hilarious in a very good way. I love it. I really do. I feel quite comfortable with it. But it is so different from many other countries that I've observed. And I think when I was flying home, I'm so sorry, didn't have such a good night. When I flew home to Vienna from London, we were a bit delayed on the lane, you know, like we had to wait a bit until our slot freed up. And they asked us to remain seated because we could be departing at any moment, so just remain seated, seatbelts on, etc., etc. And then, of course, there's always one, right? Always one individual who just can't go straight. And a woman got up and got something out of a suitcase from the locks above. And it was so funny because the stewardess, like, from the cabin, she was like, "Can I please remind everybody to remain seated upon our imminent departure, blah, blah, blah. May I kindly ask you to sit down again and fasten your seatbelt?" And I thought it was just so perfect because only a British person could tell you off severely in such a polite tone. I think it's an art of itself. It's an art I admire. It's an art I really like. And I think, you know, because many people say, well, but how, you know, the British are so indirect. How do they ever get things done? They do. I mean, they really do, because if you've got the feeling for the culture, you know that this person is not pissed off with you, even if they say please and kindly and all of that. But oops, overstepped the mark. Let's just, I don't know, let's just get back to that. And so yeah, basically that was quite entertaining, and I've observed it in so many situations, and I really like it. As I said, I really love it. I think it's a very nice cultural trait, so to say. And yes, so basically these were the 5 things that I observed when I was back in Britain. Some things that are quite obvious, some things that probably aren't. And if you go to Britain, or if you are British, you may just watch out for those, and yeah, you might come across even more. But that was what I came across, and I loved it. So thank you for watching so much, and yeah, see you next time, hopefully.